Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. With me, as always, is my co host, Jessamyn Edwards, and I am Meg Kramer. We are here to answer all the UX career questions you never thought you would need answers to. Jessamyn, my friend, how was your week in this crazy career?
Well, this week has been very intense. I've had a lot of late nights
Mm.
and there's so much to do. I feel pretty overwhelmed. And I also got some news this week, which is that I'm no longer going to be a virtual employee. I'm going to have to report
What?
to an office. The
Oh
closest
my
office to
goodness.
me is about 2.5 hours away.
Oh.
So I have been looking at train schedules to see how long it will take me to schlep up to Washington, D.C. and
Oh
um
my.
and try to figure out, what I can do in terms of the baby. And I'm like imagining myself with like a backpack and a baby under one arm and like a stroller and like a diaper bag. And then I thought, what if I get to the office? Like, should I put the baby on the floor or should I try to bring like a playpen for the baby, like a pack and play? And could I carry that all on the train? Like, I'm just like, and my coworker's like, no, how about don't bring the baby? And I'm like, I can't imagine. But what's crazy is that I've already done this with my first two children. I left them at home and went to work. But now
Hmm.
that I haven't been apart from my this third baby at all, I'm like, I can't really imagine leaving them and going away for like a full day. I can't imagine it. So I'm trying to visualize taking this baby to work.
Wow, this is big news, Jessamyn.
I know.
Wow.
I
Are
knew
any
this
of
day
your
would come.
colleagues are any of the people that you work directly with in that office?
Oh no. No, no, no. But
Oh, sure. So that makes a lot of sense, maybe.
I think they're just trying to get people, they're trying to pry people away from the idea that we're just going to be at home forever. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get that out of people's heads and get them
Mm-hmm.
thinking about office. So maybe one day that there'll be more people in that office location and I'll have a
Mm-hmm.
coworker there, but not currently. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I'm like, okay, okay, like I can do this, I can do this. Like I knew what I was getting into when I
Mm-hmm.
moved to Williamsburg, Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
because, it's a small town. So and I think like, gosh, my dad commuted for decades
Mm-hmm.
and didn't live close to where he worked and he did it. So I'm like, oh, I can do
Yeah, it
it. I
just
can do
feels
it.
like to me maybe your dad's era, it
Yeah.
was a different era, and we might be living in one now where we have tools and technologies that somehow make it more possible to not have to take a 2.5 hour train ride
Mm.
to a location where you're not physically interacting with any of your immediate partners. Hmm. Hmm. But you have a really good
Yeah.
attitude. I want to commend you for
I'm
your
yeah.
insanely good attitude about all of this.
I I I think like I like riding the train. I have to admit that. So that I think I'm romanticizing it a little bit. Maybe
Mhm.
after a couple of train rides I'll be like, ugh. But I don't know. How about you? How was your week?
You will have to report back and let us know how
Yes.
train commute with baby, with or
Mm-hmm.
without baby. It will
Yeah.
be exciting no matter what.
Yeah.
My week was all right. I've been doing some things that I should have done a long time ago because I got married like 5 or 6 years ago, and I hadn't updated a lot of these like really important legal documents that tell doctors important things like who to ask if you're not if you're not of sound mind or if you're not coherent to ask about like important medical decisions and things. And like
Yeah.
Like I had a will, but my will like didn't mention my husband at all. It mentioned like that I
Mm.
was a single person.
Okay.
um, so it was time to revise these. If you're a younger person listening to this, or maybe earlier on in career, you're probably thinking, that day will never come. And if you're, you know, a little bit older and on in your on in your career, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, I know what that's like. So it comes for us eventually. So I've been
Mm.
doing a little bit of updating of those things, and then I had a UX moment that I wanted to share. So I haven't I haven't obviously been doing a lot of, you know, actual types of work that I typically would have done during this medical leave that relate to UX. Like I'm not conducting interviews, or I'm not sitting in front of, Sketch or XD or whatever, or Figma. I almost forgot the biggest one um, these days. But, like we were talking about last episode, is sometimes you just can't take the cap, the thinking cap off, the UX thinking cap off. So
Mm.
yesterday, I went through updating my beneficiaries in my
Mm-hmm.
financial institution, and
Mm.
um, and I had to do it in four different online tools,
Yeah.
and they're essentially the exact same thing. And this is what fascinates me is like same form, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
same information they're asking for, same things that are, well, some things were slightly different in terms of what was required or not required, but like essentially across these four different financial institutions, they need to get the same information from me, and they have pretty much like the same goal in mind. And then like the UI is like slightly different between all of them. Um, and so that was like super interesting to me to kind of like
Oh
take a
yeah.
look. And as I was doing this, I was like, well, you know what? I want to come up with a winner in this
Mm-hmm.
process, the one that's the best. And do you want to guess which one?
Yeah.
I'm like
I mean, who were the contenders? I love form design, by the
yeah,
way.
that's all I really do these days, I guess. So it was Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Vanguard, and
Oh, I can
Fidelity.
tell you who was last. Vanguard. They're terrible. Um, I would guess E-Trade because
It
they're
was
electronic
E-Trade.
native. Yeah, digital natives. Mm-hmm.
Clap, 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 clap. If that didn't get picked up on my microphone. Yeah, no, it definitely was. It was the cleanest. It was the most asked you for the least amount of information. Um, in terms of like actually getting the thing done. Like one of them asked me, like I don't know, like tax ID number for
Oh, right.
something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, I don't like, like, I don't have that information. I was able to get through all of them without, well, that's not true. I was not able to get through all of them without support. Fidelity was the one I had to contact support.
Mm.
Um,
They do have good customer support, though. I have to hand it to Fidelity. It's like
yeah.
I feel like it's like 1946 and the switchboard operator is plugging me through to Ethel because like a person like picks up right away and is like, "Hi, how are you?" And you're like, "Whoa, hi." I mean, it's not a robo voice, it's not a phone tree, it just is
Mhm.
a person straight away and you're like, "Wow." Like I didn't realize this kind of customer support even existed anymore. Like look, who have we become that this is like amazing to me that a person picks up.
Totally, totally. And so yeah, so I would say that like that was also something interesting too, is that Fidelity had, I used the chat, not the AI chat, but like an actual human that was chatting with me, to help me get the task done that I needed to
Yeah.
get done. Um, Whereas on E-Trade, I ended up looking for, I can't remember why I was looking for contacting support in E-Trade, but I couldn't get any support. But in E-Trade, I didn't need it for that particular task. So it's kind of like that balance, right? Of like, maybe
Mm,
if you do make something, I hate to say easy enough, but like if you make something intuitive enough,
right.
then you don't have to have all this manpower to like help people. But there is something really nice about knowing that like in a situation where you need to get a hold of somebody, especially when it's around things like, financial uh, financial stuff that's kind of like really important, that it's safe and secure and correct and and accurate, and so yeah, there is something I think a little comforting about the other ones that had access to kind of like immediate human support. My last comment I'll say about support is that in the ones where I did contact support on chat, I blazed through the stupid automated, you know, like, it's
Oh,
not even really
I,
AI, but the chatbot shit. Like,
oh,
I
yeah.
was just, like, typing, like, "Rep, give me a rep," like,
Uh-huh. I've
to
learned to
get
do
through
that
it.
too. I
Yeah.
start like on the same thing on the phone. If I'm like, please, like, just give me a representative. I don't want to do the phone tree. I try to break the phone system in
Mhm,
order to get taken to an agent because I'm like, if I mess up enough times, it'll give up on me. And the ones that are unbreakable, they drive me nuts. And
mhm.
recently I had one that they're like, okay, we didn't understand you. Goodbye. And I'm like, or what? And it
Ah!
just hung up. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. You need to be able to fail out of these things and get to a person. And like, I'll just type numbers like beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. And it's like, we didn't understand. I'm like, beep, 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 beep. And I just put in a bunch of wrong things, or I'll say wrong things or things that make no sense just to try to like break the machine and get out of it.
Mhm,
But man, now they're like outsmarting me and they just hang up. They're like, "Oh, we can't help you. Sorry. Have a good day." I'm like,
mhm.
"Come
Yeah.
on now. Come on." But yeah, I think that customer service with all these chatbots and everything, it makes me crazy because I know that somewhere someone is patting themselves on the back, being like, we shipped a chatbot for our customer service. Look at how much money we've saved. Look at how
Mhm,
much time we've saved. Look at, and look how great it is. And I'm like, except for the customer
mhm.
doesn't think this is great. The customer wants to call and talk to a person or chat with a person. I want Stephanie. I want a woman and I want her now. Like I don't want a man and I don't want a script. Oh my God, if you want my, smoke to come out of my ears, chat with me with a script. I it makes me Looney Tunes when it's like, thank you so much for supporting us. We'd be glad to help you with your blah blah blah. And I'm just like, stop. You don't have to say any of that. Just say, how can I help you? And let's get started, please. That stuff makes me crazy. I can't with that stuff.
Neither can I, and I have been on those projects where we have released chat in our
Chat crap.
in our
Oh,
experience. Yeah,
chat, chat service,
chat
chat
crap.
crap.
Let's talk about another type of crap. Well, we did
Inheriting.
bathroom UX already, but so yeah, so a question for us to discuss is inheriting
Inheriting
work,
UX,
inheriting
inheriting UX crap.
engineering constraints, and inheriting anything, because a lot of the times, we've talked about this before, you're not just getting a blank slate. You're building off of stuff that's been there maybe for years or decades in some cases. So, Jessamyn, how do you feel about inheriting
Okay. So this
crap?
this inheriting crap, this came up for me recently, and I've been trying to wrangle around with all my feelings because, we're all part of big teams, right? And you can't own everything yourself. Like other people work on things, you work on things, and you and then, people come and go, right? Like, designers will work on things for a couple months or a year, and then they'll switch teams or you'll switch teams or what have you. And whenever you're confronted with some interface that frustrates people, and then the person who made that is long gone, it is maddening. And then suddenly you're the one who's left holding the bag. You're the one who's accountable. And I think to myself, like, so I had somebody complain about some interface recently. And the thing that makes me crazy is how personal I take it, because I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, you know, they like on one hand, like they could have listened to my feedback. I would have told them that this isn't any good. But more realistically, like they probably did get feedback and then they just did the best they could. And they probably liked what they designed. It made sense to them. And
Mhm.
so when somebody is like, oh, who came up with this? Like, this is terrible. I'm sort of like, part of me is like, I want to jump in with them and be like, it is terrible. It sucks. And part of me is like, resist that urge, because they don't like, you don't ever know when you ship something like how it's going to land really. Like you can get feedback and you can test and everybody can review it and everyone could nod and say, yeah, this looks good. We're good with this. And then you ship it and it's like, oops, like this doesn't work. And oops, that part doesn't work. And oh, this wasn't so hot. And so I'm like, have some grace, have some grace. But I find myself like getting like heating up when I have to receive negative feedback about something that I didn't do.
Mhm.
And I want to be like, this isn't mine. I didn't make that. Don't complain to me. But then I'm like, oh, like that's so immature. Just suck it up and be like, okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback. And, we can decide later if this is important enough to
Yeah.
change or not. But
It's one
I
of the
wish I could,
hardest. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's one of the also find it's one of the hardest positions to be in because, you're there to add a feature or change something or whatever it is that you've been asked to do. You're there, and then you're doing a design review, say in front of stakeholders, and they have all these comments about things that aren't part of the maybe part of the scope or part of
Right.
the like part of what you've been asked and tasked to do. And it's like, okay, let's take a step back. Like, what was the ask here? Was the ask for me to improve like every single part of this and like come up with something a lot better? Or was the ask to like update the, I don't know, the credit card, field or whatever on this page so that it, complies with some sort of security standards that we're moving towards? And like I try in a lot of my meetings like this, like I try to level set at the beginning. I try to say like this is what we're talking about, this is this, and then this area is what we're not talking about today. We are focusing in on this, and it's almost as if people kind of like forget that, or
Yeah.
on the other hand, like there is a part of me that's like, well, maybe it is our job to try to like think how to make the entire thing better. But we do only have so much bandwidth and stuff. And like I I I was in an experience like that. Like I was in this exact situation recently, and
Really.
um I put together a vision for a particular page, like outside of the ask of what was actually being done as part of the scope of that project. I did the scope of the project, and then I did like a good, better, best, or like not even a good, better, best, but like a like here's what was the ask by engineering. Here's where we want to head to
Yeah.
someday. And I put that together, and like l- literally we had to spend so many minutes on like, half of the team was like, "Oh, we're not building that. We don't have bandwidth." And I'm like, "Yes, I know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you need
Right.
to build that as part of this edition." Like, it just took
Right.
so long for everybody to be on the same page, and I'm just like, "What is even going on here?" So
People are
anyway,
terrified. They're terrified. I mean, I've gotten into that mindset too of like we can only focus on the here and now. We cannot dream. We cannot think ahead. We cannot envision a different future. We
And then half
cannot.
of the room, and then the other half of the room, like, really wants to because they're like, I don't know, higher up or whatever, and they have big
Right.
dreams and they don't
They,
understand the
right.
on the ground situation.
Yeah. You're like, let's just talk about what we're eating for dinner tonight and not our diet in general, or whatever. And it's so like that is, I think one of my own pitfalls is like I'm terrified of somebody being like, "Hey, here's a cool idea. What if we did this?" And they like come up with some big crazy project and I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Are you going to be around to see me through the
Mhm,
weeks and months of agony it would take to get that done?" Like,
mhm.
because it's so easy to like wave your hands around and be like, "Ooh, let's just redo this. Let's like
Yeah.
redesign, remake it."
That's why
Let's
I've picked my battles a lot in this
Mhm.
career. Like I've picked like a handful of things I really believed in that were outside of the scope of the project, and like maybe one at a time, not trying to like fix all of the things, but like, hey, there's just something that to me just like really bothers me, and like I just, for months or years, I try to like advocate and evangelize that one thing because I really truly believe in it. And it has a lot of satisfaction if it does get, prioritized and picked up and released to customers. But I
Right.
don't I don't try to do that everywhere because it would make me so demoralized that I probably couldn't like continue working.
I know, I know. And it's funny because as designers, like, I wish I wasn't so close to sometimes to the process, like, of building and launching something. I wish I
Mhm,
had a little more distance so that I could safely dream and imagine things. But I'm so tied, at the hip
mhm,
with the delivery of it that it's hard for me to separate that out and even imagine that something could be better could be built.
mhm,
I feel like I've gotten so used to always being told, no, we can't do that. No, there's a limitation. No, there's so much technical debt that it can't be done. It can't be done. It can't be done. That I'm like, okay. And so now I'm just like, it can't be done. Like nothing can be done. And
mhm,
it's always so refreshing when like I meet someone on the team who's like, well, let's see what we could do. Like let's dream big here. And I'm like, God, yes, this is amazing. And you know what? A lot of times it's just the turnover. Like when you have turnover on the team and old people go away and new people come in, like that's all you need sometimes is like the fresh mindset, a fresh person
mhm.
who's like, don't tell me no. I haven't,
Yeah.
and
What do
I'm
you
just like, gosh,
what do you think about in terms of inheriting crap? What do you think about the situation where somebody comes in and suggests something that could potentially be an improvement? They definitely think it is. Um, but it's
yeah,
been tried before. And so
yeah,
like, and I've been
it's
on
been
both
suggested
sides.
before, right?
Like, I've been the one that's had to be like, "Oh, we did that. We tried that," or like, "Here's some data around like why we didn't go that direction." And then I've also been on the other side of like, "Hey, why don't we do this?" And somebody
Mm-hmm.
having to be like, "Oh, that was actually the way things were," and like, 6 years
Oh
ago,
gosh, yeah.
and now, and we changed it all to be a different way, and what you're suggesting is going back, to what we had six
Ooh,
years ago.
ouch. 6 years ago. I don't know. I mean, I know that when I become that person, when I become the naysayer, and I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, oh, this person they haven't learned yet. They haven't been, I need to let them down gently. Like, I hate that. I hate that feeling. I hate being the one to tell somebody no, or, oh, sorry, that can't be done, or, oh, your idea is really cool, but no, I hate that feeling. Um, and I don't know, but I think it comes with the territory sometimes of like when you know too much, when you know too much and you've been working on something for a really long time and you've bumped into all the walls. You've bumped
Hmm.
into every wall. So now you're like, okay, I'm a Roomba now. I can get around this place. I know where I can and cannot do things. And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna grow where I can and I'm not gonna worry about the walls. But
Right.
then,
You're not
along
going to
comes
dream big
somebody and they
about.
knock down the wall and you're like, oh my God, that wall's been there forever. And I never thought I could push that wall down. I just thought it was there forever. And I thought it was totally solid, but turns out it was made out of paper, and it's crazy how those barriers it's like learning a game and you're
Hmm.
trying to learn the rules. It's like I'm always trying to learn the rules of like what can we do and what can we not do. Okay. And I'm always like, okay, I'm going to play by the rules. I'm going to play by the rules. But, people come along, they're like, I don't want to play by these rules. And this applies so much because recently at work I've seen projects where designers very, very deliberately break rules. And it makes me so uncomfortable. I can't barely stand it. And they're held up as like a victory. Like, look at this cool thing this designer did. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I can tell you 10 different ways that designer broke the rule. They didn't follow the design system. This isn't accessible. This doesn't look like anything we have anywhere else.
Hmm.
And yet people love it. They love it, and you can't deny that they love it. They show the tweets, they'll show the blog posts, they'll show the customer feedback, the positive feedback. Um, they'll say, "Hey, look at all the clicks that we saved." And I'm like, "Yep, you've got the data, but
Hmm.
they didn't play by the rules." And I'm like, "What does that say about me as a designer that I feel like you can only be successful if you play by the rules?" Does that mean I'm limited? I'm limited in my thinking and my definition of success? Is it worth it to break the rules sometimes if you're delivering something that everyone's like, "Ooh, that's cool."
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, but I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And I can't stand the bragging either. That makes me I just So yeah, and I'm like, gosh, am I like set up for success here with this mentality? But it's very cringy to me.
I don't know if I've like really super tried ever to really like go outside of the rules. Maybe it's about time, like to just
Yeah.
try.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Like, I feel like I could design things in my sleep sometimes because I've done it so many times. I know all the rules for the design system. I know what the pages look like. And it's like when I review other people's work, I'm like, oh, you got to change this and you got to change that. Done, done, done. And when I
Hmm.
see it not done correctly, I'm like, oh, come on. Um, it's so simple, how could you mess it up this badly? But I sometimes wonder like, oh, is this really good for me to be
I think,
so,
yeah, I think
yeah,
both you and I should try to do the opposite and just see what happens.
mm, to play
Totally
around
see
a
what
little bit?
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll make that a goal to like
Yeah.
see if I can dream up something different that isn't just following the pattern. I mean, there's a difference between like extending your design system and breaking your design system. I see those things very differently.
Tell us
Breaking the
more.
design system is like, hey, there's a pattern for this, but I'm not going to follow it because mine's cooler. Um, or like, I'm going to reuse this pattern in a way that it's not meant to be used. And I like it that way. So F off. And that to me is just like, come on, like, that's so bad. That's just bad. But extending the design system would be like, okay, there's no solutions here. This is totally greenfield. I need to propose something that doesn't exist
Hmm.
today that could live comfortably alongside the existing design system. That could look like, hey, this belongs together. This goes together. This vibes. Like
Hmm.
that's better. And I don't know that I've really done that, even though I would like to. I think that would be my goal is to come up with things that are harmonious, but
Hmm.
that add to the system. I guess, yeah. I can think of a couple examples, but I don't know. I don't know. When I see designs held up that aren't really extensions that are just breaking, I kind of lose it a little bit. I don't know, Meg. I I think I do need though, like hearing myself talk about this, I'm like, gosh, I need to break out of this mold. I need to break out and like try something. Like be more
Yeah.
bold,
We
you
should at least
know?
have the opportunity to do it once or twice without having like a lot of repercussions.
Mm, maybe so. Maybe I'll make that a challenge for myself. So, anyway,
That's another question
um,
we've got to
yeah,
answer.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, when think about like the last time you did some usability testing,
Hmm.
and were you testing your own design?
Yeah.
You were. Because
Hmm.
for me, like that's almost always how I do it. I very rarely get the chance to have someone else help me with testing and feedback. So I'm
Hmm.
always testing my own design. And I am curious, like, how do you check your own bias? Like when you're testing a design, how do you make sure that you're coming across as you're not leading somebody on or coaching somebody?
Sure. I feel like I will almost always have my script checked by somebody.
Ooh,
I don't
okay.
think I don't think that that like well, first of all, I guess I should say that, I think everything has bias. Everything has
Yeah,
bias, and it's just the degree to which and like how do we mitigate it so it's like on on a smaller scale because we're probably talking to a handful of people and they're not going to be representative of, everyone out there in the world that might be using our product. Um, but yeah, that is one thing that I think is doable in the constraints that we're typically under, is like yeah, it would be great if I could swap, right? Like you test my stuff, I test your stuff. But a lot of times that
mm-hmm.
doesn't really like logistically that doesn't align um exactly right. And researchers, I think, I mean, from what I feel like more recently is like researchers don't really want to do like kind of basic usability tests. Like they want to do bigger studies that have more, like strategical relevance to the business or the
Right.
organization. And I think that is true because that is like more in their field, that's more laudable and that's more like transferable to other places if they want to build their
Yeah,
career.
that bothers me, like, because I've heard that too, that like, oh, validation studies are just, they're like the lesser than. And I'm like, what? Like,
Mhm.
come on. I I don't see why people poop on validation studies when
Well, I mean, I have a theory.
what? Because I don't get it.
My theory is that it's something that can be taught. And so once you teach other people how to do it, it's not special or unique anymore. And so then
Hmm.
then your profession has to be more, you have to do things that are more special and nuanced that not everybody can do. But that, I mean, that's a theory I have.
I guess so. I mean, how many people do this? Like, this is one of those things that to me, it's we talk about it like, oh, everybody does this all the time for everything they do, and that's just not true. It's
Mm,
not true. There's so many things that go out without testing, and it's wildly obvious to me
mhm,
because of the projects that I see, and I think like it's it's not even there's so many people who just consider this as a nice to have. And I'm like, if you would take the freaking effort to do even just a tiny amount, you would see how much benefit you get. Even if
mhm,
it is biased, even if you are doing it yourself, even if other people are poo pooing you and they're thinking, oh, that's just lowly work. I'm sorry. I find it incredibly useful. And I'm not I don't understand why people think it's beneath them or it's not necessary. I think it's totally necessary. And
Yeah. And it's
I
also one of
just,
the best parts of the job, to be for me, to be
it's the most
honest.
fun part of the job, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And
Yeah.
you just like you the fewer times you are uh like if you're not engaging with customers and you have very very few direct interactions with them, the farther and farther you get, just like I think mentally, emotionally, like
Uh-huh.
like feeling like like you're actually delivering something that has value and meaning, and you feel close to their experiences. And yeah, I feel like it's it really makes a difference, and it's not just about getting the results of like how to tweak the design to make it better, or this many people understood it and that many people understood this language or whatever. But I think it does a lot for you and your team as practitioners to feel like you've talked, feel like you've talked to somebody, or feel, I mean, really, it's just about listen, feel like you've listened to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if I had a gripe, which I will share, it's that I really don't like it when other people are like, well, you know, I am I'm a salesperson, so I can tell you what the customer wants. Like, I'll just sit down with you and tell you what they want. I talk to
Mm-hmm.
them all the time. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, but we might have different questions. We might be coming at this in a very different way. They might see
Yeah.
you as a very different person than they, in relationship with the company than they see me. Yeah, so I feel like that
Oh, like
secondhand,
they want to do it instead of having you do it.
yeah, and that secondhand information like is always less, it's always lesser. It's just always lesser in so many facets.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Getting in front of actual customers is never easy. It's never easy. I mean, and there's a difference too between testers and customers. Like a real customer, someone who's actually paying dollars
Hmm.
for your business to be your customer
Hmm.
is going to come in with a much different mindset than
Yeah.
someone who is a paid tester who's like, hi, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing this test and I'm going to
Yeah.
be clicking here and I see this over here and this is really nice and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I've listened to those types of, recordings and things where you do a remote session and,
Hmm.
you send it out there and then you wake up in the morning and you have 10 test videos to watch. And
Hmm.
when people are like, hi, oh, this is really pretty. This looks really good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like fishing for stars. They
Yeah.
want to be
It's a
rated as a good
Yeah.
tester. I'm like,
It's
oh
a
my gosh.
testing is now a profession, or at least a job, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
job that you can do. And
Yeah.
I always love like doing unmoderated tests and trying to use my screener to screen out for customers, which is hard to do in some cases. And so I try to screen for an actual customer by using some like creative or clever way of like asking certain questions. And then sometimes people will get through that aren't at all,
Mm.
and then they get totally tripped up. Like,
Oh
and I'll
no.
and I'll say like multiple times, like, like, please decline this test if you're not, if you don't meet this criteria, like decline the test, like blah blah blah, like you will need access to this and this and this, if and which you should have if you're a customer. And and then they still get through because they want to take the test, because they want to, they
Yeah,
want to
they want to make their
get
10 bucks.
right. But then you can just see them very much so, like, flailing at like, it becomes very obvious once they're in that they are not the type of, the type of user that you're looking for, and they may not be a customer at all, despite the fact that you tried your very best with your
Mm.
screener.
Yeah.
But back to the initial question, I mean, if I had an answer, or not an answer, but like that, the first thing that popped into my mind was taking your script and having, ideally, somebody who's a researcher, or somebody who's very good at going through your prototype and understanding like the questions you're asking, and at least have that be checked by somebody else without just going out there and doing it yourself.
Okay.
Um, because I do think that that provides at least one check, you
Yeah.
know?
Second set of eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I had
Do
fun this
we?
week
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were testing this week and somebody on the call, the user was sort of struggling and somebody on the call piped up and they were like, just click it. Just click it right there. Just click. Oh my God. I was like, I okay. All right. It was so funny. I just enjoyed it so thoroughly because I was like, this is like such the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. But
Mm,
it was hilarious. And even though we didn't get, necessarily much information, I mean, clearly the person was never going to click on the thing. So I guess we
mhm.
learned that it was not discoverable, but just the joy of listening to someone just break the rules again was hilarious. And so it was rewarding in itself.
Mhm,
But yeah, I mean, usability testing, I could do it all day. I could literally do it all day long. I think it's so much fun to have something that you're just soaked in. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. It is the truth. It is like carved in stone, and then you put it in front of somebody and they're like, "Huh?"
mhm,
And you're like, God, every pixel of this makes sense to me. And you're
mhm.
looking at it and nothing makes sense to you. And like, it's wild. It's wild and it's hilarious. It's so funny. That
Yeah.
to me is the best part of design. It's so fun.
I wonder if there's a way to bring those types of roles back, because I do feel like a lot of that type of stuff has moved on to designers, as you've mentioned, and like we just do that work now, and then researchers are off doing some, big longitudinal or something type of study, that's like strategic and formative instead of evaluative. And I feel like maybe there's a chance to like bring it back, because like I also maybe wouldn't mind doing that, day in and day out, as long as I
Yeah.
had maybe no more than like 4 interviews a day. So I get
Oh
exhausted
gosh.
talking to people. I get a
No.
little
Yeah.
tired.
I actually I've in the past I've made that mistake where I've overscheduled and I now my max is actually two.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't do more than two. Oh no.
That's Yeah, I think 4 is pushing it, 3 is okay, 2 is ideal for sure.
Hmm.
Because really, you afterwards, you wanna write up some notes and stuff, and
Right.
you gotta prep, you gotta do the interview, you gotta write up your notes, and that's half a day. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Oh,
Alright, do we have time for, like, one last mini question or topic? Anything come to
well,
mind for you?
this is sort of like a career work-life balance question, but I was going to ask you like how often do you work late and miss dinner? And if you do you feel bad about it or do you feel like, nope, that them's the breaks? Like how much do
Mhm.
you value like family meal times? Is it sacred or is it like, I'll just grab a bite and eat in front of my computer?
I once we since we had the kid, and when I was working and had the kid, it was pretty clear that I had to be off of my computer at a certain time, because like otherwise we didn't have childcare. Like one of us
Yeah.
had to be off of our computers and doing childcare. And so I think that somewhat helped with making a more clean break,
Yeah.
which was quite nice. I know a lot of people do like they do the early evening and all the childcare stuff, and then they they start working again after the kids
After
go to
dinner,
bed.
I do that
Yeah.
too.
And I've
Is
definitely
that
done that.
bad? Because sometimes I'm like, this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, thank God everyone's asleep. I can finally focus. But then I'm like, oh, like I'm tired the next day and I'm like, oh, I should have just gone to bed.
Mhm.
I get really confused, I think, in the evenings how to handle dinner, work, kids, and bedtime. I
Mhm.
I just think, God, like, what is the right way to go here? Because I feel like no matter what I do, like something's falling through the cracks. It's either work
Mhm.
or, you know, family or dinner or something.
Mhm. Well, wouldn't you rather it be work? I don't know. Out of all those things, because I,
Yeah.
loved it. We gotta eat. Love to eat. Love to have a good
Yeah.
dinner, and I don't know. Family kind of seems important.
True. Yeah, I guess I should. But I'm like, I think what happens is that I'll sit down and I'll be like, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" But in my mind, I'm like, "Oh my God, I need to finish that thing. Oh
Mhm.
my God, I'm gonna forget about that thing. Ooh, I
Yeah.
gotta finish that other thing. Ooh, somebody's waiting on that." And I can't relax.
Mhm.
So I'm just like anxious and I want to get back to it so I can finish something so I can relax. And then by the time I'm done, it's like 11 p.m., you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, and I think so we had this thing happen where I was like, "Oh, this is gonna save so much time." I wrote out like a meal plan for the week and I'm like, "Okay, Monday we're gonna have beans and rice, and Tuesday we're gonna have tacos, and Thursday we're gonna have,
Mhm.
meatloaf." And I thought this was awesome idea. And I was helping my husband who does most of the cooking because he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to make." And I'm like, "Oh, let's just make a menu." So for the past 2 weeks we've done this. And then this week I've had late meetings almost every night. And my
Mhm.
husband has cooked these meals that I've asked him to cook and eaten them alone.
Mm. Oh.
It's so awful. And he's like, I'm cooking for like an hour, and then I sit down to the table and the kids don't want it. And you're upstairs on a call and I'm eating alone. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, we just need to go back to having cereal for dinner because this is ridiculous.
Oh man, that is rough. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, like the
And I'm like, maybe
nighttime
dinner just doesn't need to
meetings.
be that big of a deal.
Yeah, maybe that too. I long have used dinner as not a time to like actively engage with the people around me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um I think I would rather be like playing a game on my phone and eating my dinner. Maybe that'll
Really?
change when my kid is older and like I think more about like engaging with them and using that time. But I mean after a long day of like talking to people and doing work, like I don't want to be doing either one of those things.
Oh my gosh.
Um
Interesting. Okay.
and
I
we
know
do
that
watch a lot of TV.
I've read that other families do that where like everybody eats on their own, like they take their food and they go into their separate rooms. But I've never been that way unless like I
Well,
feel like I
yeah.
have to.
I just mean like I don't mean like you have to be in a different room. Just like I feel like there's like the pressure to have this like family dinner. Like I don't know, just seems like a lot of pressure. But
Yeah.
like I said, that might change as my kid gets older and doesn't have a separate eating time from me. Like
Oh, really?
he,
Okay.
yeah, he
Yeah.
eats at 6 and we eat at like 7:30. So and he goes to
Aw.
bed in between that time.
Aw. Oh my gosh,
So
that's so early.
I know. I know. That'll probably change too. Oh
Wow.
no.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
Aw. Well, thanks for the tips.
we'll see. We'll see if any of them work because you're man, Jessamyn. If you're if if you're down this road with these kids as they've been growing up and you don't have all the answers, man. Who would?
I just feel like it was so funny because my husband erased Thursday. I had put on there like chicken, rice, and peanut sauce, and I was really
Mhm,
looking forward to that meal. And then
mhm.
I came downstairs and he had erased it. And he wrote leftovers DIY. And I was like, "Oh, the system has failed." So
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, all right. All right. Good
Oh,
idea. It was
well,
a good idea gone wrong."
maybe those nighttime meetings will subside and and
Shh.
maybe you'll figure out a way to leave it all behind.
I hope
Maybe it'll
so.
be on your 2-hour commute. Maybe that's why you need a 2-hour commute
Right.
to like
Right.
really let go. But then everybody's going to be eating at midnight.
Right. I, all right. Thanks, Meg. If you need advice or sympathy for your UX career, write to us at survivingux@gmail.com. Bye bye.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamyn Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones. It's called Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. If you are also eating dinner at midnight or not eating dinner with your children, we want to know about it. And hopefully, we will have some answers for you on one of the next episodes of Surviving UX. Join us next time.